Okay, you know those moments when something happens and it shakes you to your core? Something so weird it makes you question reality? Well, my family, we have a few of those stories. I'm talking doors opening by themselves, figures in the shadows, that kind of weird. And it all started in my childhood home out in Teller, Alaska. Welcome to my new channel, Qituvituaq. Do you want to tell ghost stories? My name is Qituvituaq. My Eskimo name is Qituvituaq, and I grew up in Teller. And I'm sharing these stories because we have a tradition that we love telling good, scary stories. And I know some people out there have some really good ones. So my childhood home is like this really old village home, and there's quite a few that were built in Teller. Before it was built, I guess there was like a war in that area, and that's where like a bunch of people fought and they passed away.
What kind of war happened in Teller?
It was a native war. My parents said it might have been between the Indians and the Eskimos, but I'm not really sure. Have you ever heard of those wars before?
Where natives would fight a long time ago?
Mm-hmm.
So who did they fight in Teller?
I have no idea, but that's why you can still find artifacts of weapons. The earliest ghost story that we have in my dad's house is my parents just got the brand new house. It was just built, and my dad was out, my mom was at home alone, and my sisters were all tiny girls. And you know how little kids like to go out and play? So my mom was the only one home, and she decides to take a nap. She was shook awake, and she looked, and it was this little Caucasian boy with blonde hair, blue eyes. He shook her awake and he told her, Etta, you need to wake up. Your girls need you. She was so shocked, and she covered herself in the blanket, and she told him, when I uncover my eyes, you better not be there. And so she peeked out from the blanket, and he was gone.
Dang, so it was like a ghost?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It was weird because she's never seen that little boy before in her life in that small village, and there'd be a chance you'd run into him again if he was like a teacher's kid, or I don't know. She's never seen him again after that.
Weird, and you guys don't have any Caucasian people that live in Teller, huh?
No. And it's so weird that he called her by name too. But my sisters were fine. They're fine. And here's another really good story. One of my brothers, when he was small, he would talk about seeing a little girl. He would say she was mean and try to scratch him. We didn't have any other little girls in the house. Weird things would happen to my brother that my sisters would witness. Once he was flung off of a bed with force. Like, there's no way he rolled off. He was flung off of the bed, and nobody was around him.
So he got thrown off his bed?
Flung off, like something.
Did he get hurt?
I would imagine. I was too small.
It like grabbed his leg or what?
Yeah.
Damn,
like,
that's creepy.
You know, threw him off the bed. And the sister that saw it said she didn't see anybody or anything.
So he got flung off his bed just like those videos of those people getting their blankets flung off?
Yeah.
Damn, I thought those were fake. I guess they're real.
And those scary movies where they get pulled. Same thing. And this other time, as he was running into a bedroom that me and my other sister were in, a door slammed like right in his face, and it got so close to like hitting him in the face, like an inch or two.
Damn.
And my dad got like so angry at us because he thought one of us did it, you know? We really had to explain to my dad, like, neither of us were near him or the door. Something just has it out for my brother, my poor brother.
Poor.
Nothing's happened since to him. Hopefully, nothing will. In my parents' house, my family has always heard a spirit or whatever you want to call it in the house. We refer to her as the little girl, and I'm putting quotation around little girl. We're not really sure what she is. It started when my brother would talk about seeing her and that he was afraid of her. My sisters, 6 older sisters, you're gonna have sleepovers and friends and stuff. One night when they were asleep, one of the girls were woken by a little girl's whisper in her ear. I don't think she remembers what was whispered though. And another time was when my cousin heard 2 little girls whispering in the bathroom hallway. In my parents' house, the entrance has a long hallway that leads to the main house. But branching off of that long hallway is another hallway leading to the bathroom, which is right next to the entrance. My cousin heard 2 little girls whispering to each other in that hallway. They're like, "Shh, be quiet. They're gonna hear you. Shh." And she was so creeped out. Like, imagine hearing that.
Like they're scared that humans or people will hear them talking?
Actually, it was in a way like they thought it was so funny. Like, "Shh, be quiet. They're gonna hear you." You know?
Oh, like they're trying to creep her out.
Mm-hmm. And it worked too. Years and years later after that, my little niece, she's never heard that story before, and she heard the exact same conversation in that hallway.
Damn.
Those 2 little girls talking to each other.
And they said the same exact thing?
Yep.
Weird.
Shh, be quiet. They'll hear you. Be quiet. Shh.
Haunted.
Maybe we have more than one girl spirit in there. Another instance of the little girl is when me and one of my sisters were making carrot salad for Thanksgiving. We thought we were the only ones in the house. We were at the table, not too far from the hallways there. We were just busy. I heard one of my other sisters say my name from the hallway. She said, "Kate." And so I look, I was like, "What? You know, like, what do you want from me?" So I go and check, like, to see what my sister wanted from me, and there was no one there. And I looked at my other sister that was there with me. I was like, "Did you hear that? You heard that too? I'm not crazy, right?" And she said she heard it.
But no one was there?
Nobody was there.
And it sounded like your sister?
Yeah, and it called my name from the hallway.
Weird.
Yeah, it's so creepy. And it's so weird how, like, the spirits want to be a part of our family or something.
Maybe they're your ancestors. Except for that little Caucasian boy. I don't see how he could be your ancestor.
Well, we do have German ancestors. Or, not German. A Frenchman married my great-grandma. So maybe that could be him? Who knows?
Coming all the way to Alaska, though?
Yeah. Maybe those kids are, like, stuck at my parents' house for some reason, and they like can't help but try to be a part of our family. So here's another really good scary story that happened to me personally. When I was in high school, I had a really cute, loving dachshund. Is that how you say that word?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
A little, you know, those little hot dogs, wiener dogs.
Oh, just say little wiener dog.
His name is Bruno, and I treated him really, really well. You know how I really love dogs, or all animals, really. One night, it was just him and I in my dad's living room. He was an inside dog, and I was like turning away from him. And as I was turning away, he clearly said the word "wait." And I looked at him like shocked, and I like walked away from him really fast, and I went into my bedroom without him. I was so freaked out.
So you could hear the dog's voice and it sounded human?
Clearly, and I could hear where the direction came from me.
Isn't there some kind of superstition about that?
Yeah, there's a tradition of like if dogs are talking in our native culture, and tragedy usually follows after that. If a dog talks or if it's crying like a human. But I didn't want to tell my dad just in case he would follow that tradition, because you're supposed to put the dog down. I wasn't sure if my dad would, but I didn't tell him, and I continued to care for Bruno, but luckily no tragedy struck after that.
That's good.
Yeah. I think it depends on like how you treat a dog. If you're abusing your pet, maybe it thinks that you deserve tragedy or something like that.
I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me. Just because it could talk, it means people are going to die.
Yeah.
Maybe the stories come from skinwalkers.
Maybe. Yeah, I never really thought of that. Another instance that happened when my sister and her husband were staying over at the house, of course. They had their like own room they were staying in. They're hanging out and they saw a pop can float from one of the shelves. It floated up and it went out into the kitchen on the other side of the house all by itself. Like they watched it.
So the pop can moved like it was telekinesis, like there's a ghost or a creature carrying it?
Yeah.
Weird.
They watched it. They didn't really have a reaction because, well, what would you do?
I don't know. I'd probably just stand up.
Swat it out of the air?
But I think if you tried grabbing it, it would probably just fall.
Probably.
Yeah. Hard to say though.
So this next story happened in the same village in Teller. It happened at a company. I really don't think we should say the company name because, I know Teller people, they'll probably not want to go to that building anymore after this. I'll just read what she wrote. I used to work at the business as a weekend clerk. Our office was upstairs, and one nice afternoon, I thought I heard kids playing outside, so I looked, and no kids were around. So I decided that I'm going to go outside to check the other side. It turns out I heard the kids from the back of the hut-looking part. I knew there was no way kids could have gone in there because the doors to it were locked and I didn't hear anyone go upstairs towards our office. So it turns out that place used to be an orphanage. That's where they kept the kids where she heard them.
I wonder if any kids died in that orphanage.
Who knows?
Or maybe it's some kind of temporal displacement where there's some type of anomaly happening where when they're playing back like 50 years ago or whatever, you can hear it in the present.
Time travel or like their spirits, either one.
They were playing and then some anomaly happened way back then. And somehow you're hearing what they did back then today or something.
That's interesting. I never really thought of that before, that like it's a glitch with time.
Glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah. The places my sisters work, I don't know why these creepy stuff keep happening to her. In another building, she used to have this footage on an old phone of a different office she was working in, and there was a clock on the wall, and the shorthand was stuck pointing at 12, and the other one was going counterclockwise, just going around and around. It was stuck like that.
Weird, but I don't really think that's paranormal.
I think it is.
Did it just keep doing that, or was that just once?
It just kept doing it.
Forever?
Not forever. I think they took it down.
Oh, that's weird.
That building has like a very spooky history. It's so strange. Back to the other building, the one where the orphanage was. She said, one time I was going outside, and just when I was going to open the doorknob twisted and the door opened for me. LOL. But after that, the coffee filters flew off the counter at the same place upstairs.
Damn, that sounds like some poltergeist activity going on over there.
Also, the spirits of those little kids, like
throwing stuff and opening doors.
Maybe they thought it'd be funny to open the door for her and freak her out. So, in the same village, but a different house, a house where my sister currently lives in, her son was a tiny little newborn, and he was asleep in his crib in one of the bedrooms. From the bedroom to the living room, it's all open. There are no doors to go into the bedroom.
So there's no doors?
No doors.
Just blanket doors then?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
It was just open. So the little tiny newborn, my newborn nephew, was asleep in the crib, and in the living room, two of my sisters were playing an N64 game together when all of a sudden they heard a woman's loud scream come from where he was sleeping. So they rushed to go check on him, and he was fast asleep with nobody around.
So the scream didn't even wake him up?
Nope.
I wonder how loud that scream was.
It was a woman's loud scream.
Kind of sounds like those stories of screaming in the woods or the tundra where the scream is trying to lure people away.
Oh, weird.
Like water babies or something. Don't you guys have a place where people can hear crying at night on the river?
Actually, that's far away out at camp, like up the river. We call it Baby Island because that's where a woman like lost her baby and the baby died. And when you're boating around there, or if you sleep there, you'll hear the baby cry still.
Oh, I guess that's different because it sounded like a woman crying. Or, you know, it wasn't a baby crying, it was a grown woman.
Yeah. I guess she was trying to escape or something and her baby died.
I've heard about that though, like crying or screaming in the woods, like La Llorona.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. It really fits. It's weird. That same house, I was babysitting my niece and nephew. So one was sleeping on the couch right next to me. She was a little toddler. And the other was a tiny little newborn in like his little bouncer carrier thing. So they're both asleep. I was watching a movie. I was just hanging out, waiting for their parents to come back. And from behind me on the wall, I heard like a finger tapping on the wall, like
Tommy knockers.
And I was like, what is that? Because it wouldn't stop, and I paused the movie. And as I was going to go around the corner to like look in the bedroom, I was like, wait a second. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it wants me to go in there.
Did it feel spooky?
It did. I was like, ooh.
So you had an eerie feeling?
Yeah, I was like, ooh, maybe it wants that. I don't know why.
Yeah, I hear about that a lot, about like Tommy knockers or ghost banging on the walls. You see that in a lot of paranormal videos, like ghost banging, like.
And that's why people say stuff like, don't react to it. It's not there. You didn't hear anything. Because they're like trying to protect you.
Yet it keeps happening, even though you didn't react. So I guess that doesn't really work.
Yeah, true. But there was like some part of me that was like, maybe it wants me to go look because I could hear like the fingernail on the wall.
Maybe it wanted you to cut its nails.
Dumb. Okay, same house, different time. My niece and my nephew were a little bigger, playing in like the tub in the bathroom. My sister just cleaned it out so they can take a bath. And in the village, if you don't know, we don't have running water, so we have to haul all of our water, heat it up, and take a bird bath, basically.
Damn, that must suck.
Yeah, it's so hard. But only the strong survive in the village, I guess.
I guess that's why a lot of people don't brush their teeth, because it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Instead of just going to the sink and pouring water in your brush, you gotta grab some water, fill it up, fill a container with water and pour it on your toothbrush. All those extra steps.
Yeah, I guess. Also, on top of that, when I was living at my parents' house, we had like a whole bunch of kids that would come over. And it was really hard to put my toothbrush up high because otherwise I would just play with the toothbrush and get it like super dirty.
Gross. Brush the dog with it. Then you brush your teeth.
They like want to clean up, so they're like using the brush on the floor.
You have to like lock your toothbrush up or something.
There were some times where I would like boil my toothbrush but then I just would give up and get a new one. Okay, back to the story. Their dad was at gym and my sister was heating up water in the kitchen. When the water was ready, she called the kids out. She was like, come on, it's time to get ready for your bath. So they come out and my little niece was like 6 years old and she asked like, hey, isn't that little girl gonna bath too? My sister thought she didn't understand like the difference of like me and you are girls. Your brother is a boy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like explaining that you and I are the only girls in the house. And she was like, no, that little girl in the bathroom. Maybe she wants to take a bath too. So my sister obviously freaked out, went in the bathroom to go see.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing there.
Damn.
She said that she also sees shadows a lot there.
Shadow people?
The same sister. She was so nice to give me all of these scary stories. In this story, in a house like not too far away from my parents' house, her and her boyfriend, on a quiet night after it freshly snowed, they were smoking a cigarette on the porch of the house. And the porch light was off. They heard what sounded like somebody slowly sneaking up on them from around the corner. And it's not uncommon for people to put sugar in like their gas tanks. They don't like this person, so they're gonna ruin their machine, you know, or try to. That's what my sister was thinking, so she asks her boyfriend, like, do you hear that? Right after she said that, he was like, shh, be quiet. The footsteps stopped right as he said that. Like it heard him. And so the boyfriend runs over, runs all around the house, like trying to find out who was trying to mess with them. And there were no footprints whatsoever.
I wonder how it made that noise without actually stepping on the snow and like making the noise.
It's so weird how right as he told her, my sister, to be quiet, the footsteps stopped.
That is very weird.
So here's another really good story I think you're gonna like. My very first apartment, we were moving in and my mom and sister came into Nome with the truck and asked if I wanted to get anything for the apartment before they leave to tell her. I said yes, dishes from my house on 4th. So we came over, it was dark outside. Me and Mom were standing in the kitchen with only the truck light. Mom asked, do you need anything else? I said, I don't know. Then the cabinet doors flew open and dishes flew out. Me and Mom just looked at each other and Mom said, maybe you'll need those. So I grabbed them and sure enough, that night I needed them.
So it just haphazardly threw dishes everywhere, saying, hey, you need some dishes, haphazardly throwing them all over the floor.
Right then, my mom asked, do you need anything else? And my sister says, I don't know. And then right then, the dishes flew out of the cabinets.
It was trying to help them in a weird way, in a very violent way.
She really did need them, though. So my dad was there one time. He was in the kitchen in the same place where the dishes flew out. He was standing in the kitchen. My mom wasn't there. And he was telling one of my sisters to call my mom, and he was like starting to complain about her in a bad way. And from a room in the back, there was a sack of rice flew out and hit him on his face.
Damn.
Like on his head.
Like, hey, don't talk about her like that.
Yeah, my dad was like, maybe I shouldn't talk about your mom like that.
2 paranormal stories that seem to be associated with your mom. Your mom asked if she needed anything else and dishes flew out of the cabinet. Then your dad talked bad about her and rice hit him in the head.
We call it like her protector.
She should say something about gold falling or something like that.
So, do you remember me telling you about when she moved to her first apartment? The sister here in Nome?
No.
So when she moved into that new apartment, my niece was a tiny little baby and she was in her crib. And my sister said that they remember they were babysitting while my sister was out. And they saw like a black floating thing floating towards her crib.
That sounds kind of like Irish folklore where they talk about changelings, things that would take babies. But I don't understand why they would want to take babies. Maybe it's because they're vulnerable, easier prey. Maybe they want to kidnap them and raise them.
Maybe raise the baby as their own.
Even in Alaska mermaid mythologies, they talk about them wanting to steal kids.
The Qualupak or something like that?
The Qituvituaq.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to say the name, honestly.
Neither do I, but it's better to try than not try. Kind of reminds me of like an eagle picking up shik or something like that.
Oh yeah, predators do attack babies because they're easier prey. So maybe it has something to do with that.
Whoa.
Maybe it's some kind of weird predatory shadow creature from another realm trying to prey on the vulnerable, like children.
That was not a good image. I regret saying that. In that same apartment, my sister said we used to hear dishes moving around, and one night the bathroom sink turned on by itself.
Damn.
So they had a lot of paranormal activity there as well. So far, that is all the stories that my sisters have and my parents have as well. So if you have your own eerie encounters to share, you can find me by emailing me doyouwantatellghoststories@gmail.com. And I'll put all of my socials. I'll have a podcast. This will also be on YouTube. And we are currently wearing the merch of Q's channel, the Xeno Hunter. Because right now I don't really have merch. I don't really know if I need it. The shirt I'm wearing is a Dover demon, and that is a creature that I actually saw one night in Teller. When I was in junior high, I was visiting my cousin, and it was getting dark and rainy, so I decided to go home. And I was walking down the street. There was like this building with orange light, and it was shining onto this abandoned building to my right. Out of the corner of my eye, next to the abandoned building, there was like this weird pale white creature that was really long and skinny, and it was on all fours. And as I turned to look at it, it looked at me too, and it had two big black eyes, and it bolted around the corner into the dark.
Did it kind of look like an alien?
Yeah, it was long and skinny. All of its limbs were pale white too.
And it wasn't bipedal. It wasn't walking on two legs. It was crawling. Like it was using its arms and its legs.
Yeah, it went around the corner into the dark, and I was so afraid, like I can't see it. Maybe it's stalking me right now. So I ran home and I told my dad, and all he said was, maybe you should stay inside now.
So on all fours, how tall was this creature approximately?
It was pretty tall, I'd say. Maybe even taller than me, and I'm 5'6".
So if it was standing up on two legs, it probably would have been around 10 or 11 feet tall if you double that height.
And it was really long, yeah.
It kind of reminds me of stories of the Dover Demon, the Flesh Gate, or the Rake. They're these white creatures that kind of crawl around on all fours, and they're really skinny. Kind of reminds me of Slender Man a little bit because of how skinny and lanky it is, like if it stood up.
It'd just be missing a suit.
And since its arms are so long that it could walk on all fours, if it stood up, its arms would be hanging down really low, like a gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's not actually bipedal, but it could be bipedal. It's just better at sneaking around on all fours or something.
And it's weird how in all of the encounters that it runs away as soon as you look at it. Like it's not predatory at all.
Like it doesn't want to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe how scared you felt when you saw it, maybe that's how scared it felt when it saw you, seeing as how it ran away as soon as it saw you.
Yeah, maybe it ran home just like I did.
Did it have a creepy feel or look to it?
Yeah, the eyes were big. They were big and black. I didn't see anything else.
Did it feel eerie or scary?
Yeah, it did.
Really?
Just thinking of it like makes me have that feeling of like wanting to run.
Before you saw it, did you feel anything? Like, was it a spooky vibe or anything?
Well, of course, it was dark and it was raining.
So nothing out of the ordinary. It's just kind of how it feels when it's dark and you're all alone.
Yeah, I've always been scared of the dark though.
And you're not the only person in Teller that saw it, are you?
Yeah, that's right. I was telling my cousin about this, and I just happened to be telling her, and she said she saw the same exact creature. Except she was driving down the road, one of Teller's roads, and It was dark enough she had her headlights on. Her sister was in the passenger seat, and she was on her phone. As she was turning and the headlights shone on the bushes, she saw like a white thing with big round eyes looking at them, and she was like, "Did you see that?" But her sister was on her phone, like I said.
Was that the same year you saw it, or was it seen throughout like multiple years?
It was only seen that year.
So it was like passing through the area and you guys just happened to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it wasn't a local to the area. Maybe it was just traveling through.
And also, when I told her I saw it, she said that our other cousin actually saw it too, but it was in a different spot in town.
Damn.
And I know what you're thinking. We have a whole bunch of cousins. Like, who knows how many of my cousins have seen it? Because I never would have known we both saw the same thing if I wasn't telling her.
Mm-hmm.
It's so crazy. So yeah, I really like this t-shirt. It's cool.
And that shirt is pretty much what it looks like?
Yeah, it's like a simplified cartoon version, which is cool.
So her shirt and this shirt right here that I'm wearing, I actually made it for my paranormal channel that I also have, the Xeno Hunter.
It's so cool. Yeah, and I like the quality of them. They're nice.
Yeah, I shopped around for a print-on-demand place, and I found Spreadshop, and it had high reviews.
Well, thank you for listening today. I hope you got creeped out as much as I did listening to these stories. If you want to share any stories, you can email me at doyouwantatellghoststories@gmail.com, or you can join my Facebook group, Ijiki, Do You Want to Tell Ghost Stories? Until next time, this is Kate Topcock Kijuk.
And this is Qituvituaq. Peace out.
Have a good night.